math because I loved it. I didn't care what anybody told me that I should or shouldn't do. I just did what I wanted, which led me to get my master's in math, which people are so amazed by. But if you do what you love, you can succeed, and so STEM is a girl thing. I study math because I love it.
Congratulations to all of you at the Women of Color STEM Conference in Detroit. I'm Taraji P. Henson, and I'm so proud of your award-winning accomplishments that have earned you national recognition in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. In our new movie, Hidden Figures, I have the absolute honor of playing Katherine Johnson. As a pioneer in NASA's space program, Katherine led a team of human computers responsible for the calculations used to launch our astronauts into space. Just as Katherine ushered in a generation of women in science, you are the shining stars paving the way for a new generation of women. As Women of Color award winners, you have reached for the stars. Just like Katherine Johnson, you are innovators who dreamed big and soared in your careers. I applaud you.
Equilateral, isosceles, tetrahedron.
Have never seen a mind like the one your daughter has. You have to see what she becomes.
Come on! Move like that.
Catherine! We all gonna end up unemployed riding around in this pile of junk.
You're welcome to walk the 16 miles.
Or sit in the back of the bus.
You kiss me up.
You have identification on you?
We're just on our way to work.
At NASA, sir.
I had no idea they hired.
There are quite a few women working in the space program.
You know what we're doing here? We're putting a human on top of a missile, shooting him into space. That's never been done before. I need a mathematician that can look beyond the numbers. Math that doesn't yet exist.
You have someone?
Running what I'm playing.
Catherine's the gal for that. She can handle any numbers you put in front of her.
You're a computer at NASA. You let women handle that sort of...
Yes, they let women do some things at NASA, Mr. Johnson. And it's not because we wear skirts. It's because we wear glasses.
You've been gone for 300 hours.
Was Mama gone for 12 and a half days?
No, but it felt like it.
In 14 days, astronauts will be here for training. Everything we do can matter to their wives, to their children. I believe it's going to matter to the whole country.
My gals are ready.
There's no protocol for women attending.
There's no protocol for a man circling the Earth either, sir.
We all get there together, we don't get there at all.
Let me ask you, if you were a white male, would you wish to be an engineer?
I wouldn't have to. I'd already be one.
Don't you know that we're able?
morning, you guys. How are you? You look wonderful, and now I can really see you. You look fantastic. It is so good to be here at the 21st Annual Women of Color in Technology Conference. Seeing so many friends. Hey, Monica, and everybody's here. This is so awesome. So it is wonderful to be here with you this morning, and welcome to our breakfast with leaders and legends. And this is one of our most popular and talked about events. And maybe that's because we as women, no offense, fellas, and I'm gonna talk to the ladies a lot this morning. Men, I love you. God knows I do, I love you, okay? But today, this is really a lot about the ladies, but we need you. So we're gonna keep it real. And speaking of keeping it real, I have some amazingly accomplished women that are with us this morning. But first of all, I would like to introduce our 2016 Technologist of the Year. I had the pleasure of meeting her on Thursday night. This amazing woman is the Research Director of Corning Incorporated, Dr. Alexandra Boscovich. Would you please stand? There she is. And now with that, we like to recognize our sisters, and we're all sisters here, and it feels so good every time I come here to Women of Color. We were backstage talking about Atta girls, and girl, you know you wearing that pantsuit. I mean, and this is where you can be real and celebrate each other. And so continuing along that line, I want to invite all of the current, everyone who's receiving an award this year, would you please stand? Congratulations, and remain standing. And for those of you who have received awards in previous years, please stand. Our previous award winners, Monica, stand up. Congratulations, you are our best and brightest, and it is such a pleasure to be here with you and to enjoy this time with you. And I also want to remind all of you to watch Women of Color TV on Channel 47 in your hotel rooms. Now, we know there's not much else to watch other than the news, and we know what's going on that. So just put it on Channel 47, look for yourself. You'll see yourself coming across the screen at some point. Okay, so before we get started on this Leaders and Legends Let's Get Real subtitle breakfast, I want to introduce our conference co-host sponsor speaker from Consumers Energy. She's responsible for the legal department and all legal matters affecting CMS Energy and Consumers Energy. Ladies and gentlemen, the Senior Vice President and General Counsel, Catherine Reynolds.
Thank you, Dr. McCauley, and welcome everyone. On behalf of Consumers Energy, I'd like to welcome all of you to the 2016 Breakfast of Leaders and Legends. It's an honor to be here this morning with so many intelligent minds and eager hearts. Most of you are here because you are striving to advance your career in a STEM field. Others, like me, not a STEM person, are here to guide and mentor those of you who are coming up to be the next group of leaders and legends. We may have slightly different reasons for being here and participating in this conference today, but we all share one common thing: a passion for the work we do and a desire to really make a difference in the world we live in. The energy in this room this early in the morning proves it. You are awake and ready to begin the day and learn and share and grow in your leadership skills. Not everyone would be willing to do that on a Saturday morning. Just ask my twins that I left at home this morning when I got up. But you have the drive to do something better, to do something greater, and to improve yourselves. You have the motivation to change the face of STEM in America. For that, I couldn't be more proud of my Consumers Energy co-employees who are sitting over in that area there and are here today. And I congratulate every woman here who has won an award and those who are going to be receiving awards later today. It is a beautiful time to visit Michigan. I hope you've had an opportunity to do a little sightseeing around Detroit. It's a beautiful area, and we're all very fortunate to be able to be here this weekend and call it our home, at least for this weekend. Let's get on with the program. We have a panel of very impressive panelists coming up, and I want to thank you again, and enjoy your day, and be sure you learn a lot. Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. Thank you so much. Now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to meet our panel members. First of all, I would love to introduce the Honorable Ladoris or Dot Harris. Dot brings over 30 years of leadership and management experience as the Director of the Office of Economic Impact and Diversity at the U.S. Department of Energy and is a recipient of the 2015 Women of Color President's Award. Dot ensures that minorities and historically underrepresented communities are afforded opportunities to actively participate in the department's programs. Nominated by President Obama and confirmed by the U.S. Senate in 2012, she serves in an Assistant Secretary level position at DOE. Please welcome Ladoris Dot Harris. Ain't she wearing that pantsuit? Okay. And I tell you, I told you they bad. All righty. Our next panelist is often called a visionary and weaver. Since 1980, she has been a pioneer of interactive technologies and telecommunications as tools of transformation and partnership development for positive change. Please welcome this futurist, founder of Global Net Generation of Youth, president of Lowenstein and Associates, and winner of the 2015 Women of Color Lifetime Achievement Award, Dr. Ronnie Lowenstein. All righty, we are rolling. Now, okay. Yeah, the glasses. Okay, there we go. Okay. Our next panelist is Executive Director of Surface Warfare within the Naval Sea Systems Command. Her duties include fleet support for the Navy's surface ships, including surface combatants, amphibious, auxiliary, mine warfare, and patrol craft. In addition to inactive ships, foreign military sales, fleet support, and ship transfer programs. She is responsible for a surface warfare portfolio that exceeds $15 billion. Please welcome Karen Davis. All righty, but we are rolling. Before I make the next introduction, let me give you some background. And we've been talking about it. This is so exciting. STEM has gone Hollywood, okay? When you have Taraji P. Henson talking to you, you know you are bad, ladies. So this is so exciting. So as you heard earlier at our conference, 20th Century Fox is about to release the film Hidden Figures, starring Taraji P. Henson, Octavia Spencer, and Janelle Monáe. Produced by Pharrell Williams, it tells the true story, and I get goosebumps every time I see the trailer, the true story of 3 African-American female mathematicians at NASA, Katherine Johnson, Dorothy Vaughan, and Mary Jackson, who were known as human computers and were responsible for calculating the history-making launch of astronaut John Glenn into space and guaranteeing his safe return. Now, 20th Century Fox has something very special to share with us. It is so special that we are the only audience, the exclusive audience who are being allowed to see it. The clip you're about to see is embargoed and not for public view at this time, so you won't see it anywhere. And recording is strictly prohibited. So please put away your cell phones and let's watch. And listen, this is so serious. I mean, we're very serious about this. This cannot be recorded. They gave me something to read to you to make sure you understand just how serious this is. The following Fox Studios film presentation provides exclusive film footage that is not being released to the general public until a later date. To ensure that no part of this advanced film showing is posted on the internet or social media prior to actual film release, Fox Studio has hired security personnel in this room to ensure that no portion of this film is being recorded or photographed. They're here. You don't know who they are. They might be next to you, okay? Okay? As such, no cameras, no recording devices, including cell phones, may be activated during the show of this film presentation. Don't go to jail and women of color, put your phone up, okay? Security personnel, I'm not through, they gave me more. Security personnel request that you please turn off your cell phones and recording devices at this time and leave them off until this exclusive film presentation is concluded. If I were you, I'd put it in my purse, okay? Anyone observed with an active recording device, including cell phones, is subject to being approached and questioned by security personnel. Your cooperation in helping us ensure the integrity of this exclusive Fox film presentation is greatly appreciated. Thank you. That's what they said. Okay, so they're serious. So with that, all right, back to warm Pamela. With that, let's go, okay. Let's roll and see what we have. Okay.
We all gonna end up unemployed riding around in this pile of junk to work every day.
You're welcome to walk the 16 miles.
Oh, I'll sit in the back of the bus.
Girls.
No crime in a broken down car.
Not the best place for the three of y'all to be having car trouble.
We didn't pick the place, officer. They picked us.
You being disrespectful?
No, sir.
You have identification on you?
NASA, sir.
NASA? I had no idea they hired.
Quite a few women working in the space program.
Well, hell, least I can do is give y'all an escort. I imagine you're running late.
No, that's okay. We wouldn't want to.
That would be wonderful, officer. Thank you, sir.
Mary, slow down. You're too close. He said to follow. He didn't mean up and behind.
Dear Lord, I don't even know where to begin.
Oh, I know where to begin. 3 black women are chasing a white police officer down the highway, Hampton, Virginia, 1961. That there is a God-ordained miracle.
We don't have a single person that can handle the math to get our guy into space.
That's what I've been told.
Find such a person before the Russians plant a flag on the damn moon.
The space test group needs a computer.
Catherine's the gal for that.
They never had a colored in here before. Don't embarrass me.
What's the status on my computer?
She's right behind you, Mr. Harrison.
This wasn't emptied last night?
I'm sorry, I'm not the...
You know what we're doing here?
Yes, sir, I do.
Pastor mentioned you're a computer at NASA. They let women handle that sort of thing?
On any given day, I compute over 10,000 calculations by hand. So yes, they let women do some things at NASA, Mr. Johnson. And it's not because we wear skirts. It's because we wear glasses.
Craving, you got me craving, craving, you got me holding craving.
Whose work is that?
Catherine, sir.
That's John Glenn.
What do you ladies do for NASA?
Calculate your trajectories.
Engineer. And I'm proud as the devil to be working with you.
How could you possibly be ogling these white men?
It's equal rights. I have the right to see fine in every color. NASA doesn't commission females for the engineer training program. That position is open to any qualified applicant. Right, except you don't have the educational requirements. We now require advanced extension courses through the University of Virginia. Every time we have a chance to get ahead, they move the finish line. Every time.
Mama,
Yes, baby.
you've been gone for 300 hours.
I know, I work a full-time job now. You all know that. I have to be mommy and daddy. Okay? How many days in 300 hours?
12 and a half.
Was mama gone for 12 and a half days?
No, but it felt like it.
Felt like it to me too.
We're putting a human on top of a missile, shooting him into space, and it's never been done before.
We can calculate launch and landing, but without this conversion, the capsule stays in orbit. We can't bring it back home.
Equals 3. Yes, we can. I feel it.
Leave your calculators. You won't need them where we're going.
Picking on to harmonize the chords.
More than 50 million Americans watching this launch live.
Let's get the girl to check the numbers.
Go find Catherine Global.
Have liftoff.
There's a real fireball. It's getting a little hot in here.
Colonel Glenn, numbers don't lie.
It's good to know NASA hasn't given up on good old-fashioned brain power.
If you were a white male, would you wish to be an engineer?
I wouldn't have to. I'd already be one.
Woo! Wow. Wow. Can't wait to see it. Thank you so much, Fox, for allowing us to have that very special clip. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the final panelist you're about to meet is called NASA's modern-day Katherine Johnson. Tracy Drain is a flight systems engineer at the Jet Propulsion Laboratory in Pasadena, California, where she is the deputy chief engineer for the Juno mission that launched in 2011. Oh boy. Okay, she was part of the technical leadership group that saw the preparation and execution of the Jupiter orbital mission with its arrival on Jupiter on July 4, 2016. The goal is to understand the origin and evolution of Jupiter, look for solid planetary core, map magnetic field, measure water and ammonia in deep atmosphere, and observe auroras. The sister is bad, okay? Tracy plans to remain with Juno through the science phase until the end of the mission in February 2018. Please welcome Tracy Drain. We're air kissing. She has a cold, so we're air kissing. Okay. All righty. So these are my wonderful, amazing women on here. Can we give them another round of applause? Are they awesome? Okay. And let me talk to you just a little bit about how we want to do this. We want to get these wonderful ladies engaged. They're going to share some information with you. And for those of you over there, listen, I don't want you to have to look at the back of my weave, so I'm going to turn around a little bit, okay, so you can see me. So we are going to have these ladies answer some questions, and then we are going to engage you. So we're going to have one question, we're going to all chat about it, then we want to have you all get involved. It's like a close personal conversation, intimate conversation with about 600 of your closest friends. Okay, so that's how we're going to make this roll. So we want you to be a part of this. So we know that this year our theme is STEM is a girl. STEM is a girl thing. And so, ladies, I want to ask you, what does that theme mean to you? So we can start with you, Dot, since you've been patiently sitting out here the longest.
Again, good morning. And I would like to bring you greetings on the behalf of President Barack Obama and the Secretary of Energy, Dr. Ernest Moniz. So, good morning. STEM is a girl thing. I mean, it's, you know, it reminds me of me when I was about 8 years old and was one of those little kids that were very curious about things and proving 9 lives of a cat, which I did prove they don't have 9 lives.
Who died?
I know, right? It's
okay,
terrible.
well, hopefully nobody from Peter's in the audience.
But you know, my dad always said, baby, the cat, you know, cats always land on their feet and they have 9 lives. And my team smiled because I've told them about this story before. But you know, they always do land on their feet, so I did prove that theory. But you know, so it's been a thing for me since I was a kid, and being an engineer in the industry and then being an executive and an officer. So STEM has just always been part of my culture, been part of my core, and it's the thing that gives us girls a beautiful edge in the private sector and government.
Why do you think that was, Dot? Why was it so natural to you?
Because I was raised with, I'm from a large family. I'm a family of 13. There were 9 girls
God bless
and 4
your
boys.
parents.
So I was the girl that was hanging out with my brothers, shooting BB guns and all those things. So I figured I can go out and do it too. So I just was always out and about. And my father had a big farm down in the South. I'm a grits girl raised in the South.
Amen.
So I used to do things, and my dad always told us that we can be whatever we want to be around the dinner table. And my mom died when I was 8 years old, and my father raised us and he always told us girls, we can be whatever we want to be. So being an engineer was something that I had no issue in being.
Outstanding. The father theme I've heard a lot from women who are in STEM. So other ladies? Ronnie.
As I listen to people, I react. I had a father who also encouraged me and to think and get engaged in issues, but it's very cultural. And when I think of STEM as a girl thing, I want to stretch that because I want to be more inclusive. STEM is for all, and the diversity is diversity in thought, diversity in culture, ethnicity, geography. What I love about the phrase is that it reminds us of the current conditions. And we here are really change agents to try to change the world into what it can be.
Right.
Inclusive and diverse. And girls around the world need to be uplifted. So I look at culture and, and look at the culture in NASA. I look at the culture in the military. And, so we have to embrace the diversity and look at the conditions and make sure that all are involved.
Absolutely. I mean, that is so important, and really, I don't know if you guys saw the show that First Lady Obama did this past week, and we need to educate our girls, but the next one, we need to give so many more girls in STEM. And Karen.
Good morning. So when I think of STEM as a girl thing, I think back to when I was a girl. And at an early age, my parents, while I did have Barbie and Ken and those things, I also had Lincoln Logs, Legos. My parents.
Yay, Legos. We love them.
So I'm dating myself, but Legos, who remembers, they're in this round container.
Yeah.
So from early on, I enjoyed those things. And when I fast forward to the high school years, there was my geometry teacher, African-American lady, Lillian R. Edwards. And the R didn't stand for anything except for R, she would tell me. But she says, Karen, you could be anything that you want to be. So in addition to home, at school, there was a mentor from 9th grade on who encouraged me to explore the arts, the sciences, math, and just make sure that as I chose my career, that I didn't exclude science and technology. And so that was, to me, very important.
That's powerful. Yeah, and teachers, I think sometimes we forget how important teachers are in this equation. Raise your hand if a teacher impacted you in terms of your STEM career choice. Me too. Look at that, okay? So we need to hug our teachers and thank them and then encourage them to do that even more because teachers are so powerful in this equation. So, Tracy.
Yes, I'm glad to hear the panel members talk about how STEM is for everybody and how, at least what STEM as a girl thing makes me think about is American culture and other countries too. We get a little too wrapped up in gender role separation. In my opinion, if we taught more young boys to play with dolls and to be nurturing fathers and to cultivate that side of themselves, just as we need to get more girls to cultivate the idea of being a tomboy and climbing trees and playing with trucks and tearing apart their toasters and understanding that STEM is a girl thing. I think in general, if everybody understood, there really can be anything, not just things that are okay for girls and okay for boys.
Right. No, that's a good point. And I like to think, if you all would start making your way to the microphones, where are my microphones? Okay, so they have to come all the way up here. So don't be shy. Because we want you engaged. But I think it's really important that we are starting to see some of that changing in terms of what we expect girls and boys to do. But you can be a girl. I love dolls. I love combing hair. But I knew that I wanted to be a scientist from a very young age. And my father, who was a drill sergeant, was the one who told me I could do anything that I wanted to with my life, and I was smart, and I should be a scientist. And then I had mentors as well. So is you guys going to join in the conversation with us? Come on, don't be shy. I know it's early. We want to hear from you. Well, while somebody's making their way to the microphone, Ladies, as I said, you all are so accomplished and have done so many wonderful things in your career. So people might think that you haven't had challenges. And so one of the challenges that many women of color, women period, but particularly women of color face is a sense of isolation. Oftentimes we feel isolated because while we're here and you're loving on each other and, hey, you looking good, girl, good to see you, and you got all this warmth and energy, you're going back to work. And you might be the only one who looks like you within your space. Or you may have to walk down 2 halls and pass a couple doors to find someone who does look like you. And so I often get the message from women that we're still feeling so isolated. And let's be honest, you all are smart and talented. You don't have to stay someplace that you don't feel comfortable. But guess what? We need you to stay in some of these places. So when we talk about isolation, I really, ladies, want us to share how we have dealt with some of those feelings of isolation.
Oh,
yeah.
I can jump in because even though my color is white, I felt different all my life. And I think something I thought about yesterday in our conversation, why was that? What was the feeling? And when you march to a different drum, but you want to be part of the band, it can be very painful. And as I've gotten older, I've learned to accept that I have a destiny. And so I've worked hard to find my purpose and to live my destiny and to be happy with myself. But it's that sense of the sense of who you are in the rest of the world. And all of us have uniqueness. And at times, I even had reverse discrimination because I would be promoting the innovation and the STEM ecosystem, and I'd be different. And I'd be talking to audiences and communities that were different ethnicities, different genders. But if you feel connected to the community, you know, and you know yourself.
I think that's a really good point, feeling connected. And because when you do feel like that, it's someplace that you want to be. You've wanted to be there for a long time. When we talk about isolation, that leads right into the theme of hidden figures. So isolation, or have we ever felt like hidden figures?
You know, isolation first of all, I want to say the most underutilized resource in the world is women.
Well, and the church said, okay.
So it's all about us contributing to make this country, this world, a better place. And listen, people, it's no longer a nice thing to have women and minorities participate and be front and center. It's an economic equation. I mean, it's a national security issue. It's all that takes us to really make a difference. And being isolated is okay. I mean, for us to be unique and be trailblazers.
I love that. You're not isolated. You're unique.
Yeah, you're just unique. You know, we all are. I mean, it's amazing how the beauty of diversity when you bring it to the table. Right. And I just love the more different someone is than I am, the more attractive I am in understanding, more curious how they can bring.
Beautiful.
But think about all of the cultures that each of us bring, whether you're Hispanic background, Native American. I mean, you bring that richness. So who in the world would not want you to bring that to the workplace? Because when you bring that to the workplace, that diversity, it has been technically proven that a more diverse organization is actually a more effective organization.
Yes, it has been. I mean, that is so true. And we see diversity at your organizations too, ladies. So have your experiences in terms of isolation or hidden figures? Dot told us we are not isolated, okay? We are unique, and we're going to hold on to that.
I would echo everything that was just said. The only thing I would encourage is to, if you are feeling isolated, and that can happen, and it depends on the individual too, what you do. I happen to be an introvert, so a lot of my energy comes from within anyway. But I would say make sure that you're not marginalized. That's probably what you want to make sure is not happening if you feel isolated. And then also sometimes if you start to feel that, what do you do about it? What are some of the mechanisms, some of the organizations and the tools that your company or your organization, your agency may have in place to help you become more ingrained in the broader society of your organization. So sometimes use those tools as well to overcome isolationism.
So those of you who have met me will probably not believe you if I tell you I also consider myself to be an introvert, haha. I love people, but I need a lot of alone downtime in order to kind of recharge my batteries. But the thing that I do when I'm in a place where I'm the only black person, and that happens all the time, or if I'm the only woman, which also happens all the time, because I love people and I'm deeply interested in them and what they think and what they're bringing to the table, I tend to ask questions and poke them and draw them out. And that tends to make people feel more comfortable with you. It tends to make them aware that you are interested in their ideas and their thoughts, and so they end up being more interested in your ideas and your thoughts too. So whenever I'm feeling isolated because I'm the only woman, I still just try to build those relationships, working relationships with the men that I'm with, and that builds a greater camaraderie. And even though there still aren't any women around, I don't feel isolated anymore.
That's an excellent point. So you take the initiative to build the relationships. No, we're rolling. We're rolling. Now, I think we have a question here. Thank you so much.
Hi. I want to say that I am so very proud of all you guys and everybody in the audience also. I heard some of your stories yesterday and even today of you having great support systems from your family to help you to become who you are today. My question is, if you didn't have that support system of someone helping you become the great person you are today, how do you think that because you were birthed to be the person that you are, that would have been enough strength to push you forward into who you are today? And if you didn't have the support system and you had the negative things of you would never be anything, you are nothing, how do you speak to those people who have that negative background of now having family support and always something negative and they're still trying to push forward? Can you speak to us or some of us who may have had those things and to just encourage some of us to continue to push forward with negative things that we may be dealing with today?
Well, I am so glad you asked that question because that got us a little off the professional stuff. Let's get on some, we say we're going to be real. And I know I'm about out of time, but we gotta address this question. So and when we talk about negativity in your personal environment, of course, family, friends, relationships, okay? So, you know, I could talk about this for a couple hours, so I am not gonna start, okay? Okay, if he ain't for you, he'll get you, let him go. But anyway, go ahead.
Well, first you have to understand that you yourself, you are enough. You have to understand, first of all, that your uniqueness and your faith and your strength in yourself first has to be revealed, has to be appreciated, and has to be known very clearly by yourself first. And then, of course, you surround the folks that you have around you, your family. You know, you can always have issues, there can always be problems, but just speak the promise and not the pain when you look at what you want to be. So it's all about making sure you keep yourself strong, keep strong in whatever faith and whatever you've grounded yourself in. Once you know that and you realize that, you have your family, and I've been fortunate to have a very strong family that have kept me I tell you, prayed up in all kinds of ways. Amen. So it's a matter of making sure that once you have that strong family and you know who you are and you're comfortable in who you are. And I always say, and I say this very clearly, that once looking at you as an amazing young black woman, to be clear and make it known to the world that you are the most amazing being on this planet. So once you understand that, then you will then take it and you will have that strength you need, that inner strength. So it's all about making yourself strong, become a subject matter expert at what you do well. You know, and I always say this with Dr. Martin Luther King. There's a saying that he's saying, do what you do and do it well. As a matter of fact, you do what you do so well that the living, the dead, nor the unborn can do it better than you. So once you understand that, then you can really take whatever it takes to be the best of what you can be.
I agree, and let me add this too. I think it's so important to understand that we have the power to determine who is in our inner circle. Yeah. Now, when you go to work, that's one thing. You don't get to always decide who you're going to be with at work. But we have choices about who we let in our inner circles. And sometimes family may not understand. When I was working on my PhD, my mom and dad didn't understand that I couldn't come up for Sunday dinner every weekend because that's what we did. We went to church and you came over to the house and we had Sunday dinner. Well, sometimes I couldn't do that. And so a lot of times family may not be understanding. So, but you do have to help them understand what the things are that you're facing in your life. But the truth of the matter is a lot of women have very negative circumstances around them, but we don't feel empowered to change it. So we do, I love what Dot just said, so change it, and especially that your personal relationship, your one-on-one relationship, that will have the biggest impact on your career of any relationship. So choose wisely. You know, I joke a lot about it, but it matters. And there's some wonderful men out here who will support you and believe in you, but there's some who won't. So we have to be wise enough to pick the right one.
I have to add one thing to that. So this is going to sound, this is easy for me to say, but it's really hard to do. And that is, if someone has things that are negative to say to you, you don't have to waste your time arguing with them. You don't have to tell them why they're wrong. You can just let them have their peace and go the other way. And this happened when I was maybe 14 or so, before I went to college. My grandfather came to live with us. And the man, I mean, he was born in 1917, so his views were shaped by a whole different era. And I was telling someone the other day.
Tracy?
I'm sorry?
He was born when?
In 1917.
1917, okay.
A long time ago.
Yes, okay.
And we were sitting around in the living room, and he's always, you know, passing along his wisdom, which is great, except for when it's not great. And he told me, you need to make sure you know how to cook and clean, because no man is ever going to marry you for any other reason. As if it was a given that that was the whole purpose in life for a woman, and that was all there was going to be. And of course, at 14, I was ready to let him have it. And I would have, only my mom, who was great, so this made it easy for me to take this path, was sitting behind him where he couldn't see her, going, no. And just like, shut up, don't say anything. Because she knew he would be on a roll forever. So I just had to sit there, let him have his say, and then went on about my way. But that she helped me learn that I did not have to work to change his mind, because it wasn't going to make any difference. He was just going to go on for half an hour if I argued with him. And a few years later, once I went to college and started interning at NASA Langley, you know, I came home for the summer and was visiting, and he just looked at me one day and said, Tracy, you don't need a man to take care of you, do you? I don't.
Okay.
So
we can even teach people stuff that are 100 years old. That is beautiful.
That's right, right? But you just, it's hard to let that roll off your back, but it takes more of your energy if you try to fight it and tell them they are wrong, rather than just go out and do your thing and show them.
Well said. I think we have a couple more questions. Okay, and we're burning, as they say in the country, we're burning daylight. So we're going to try to get to these two questions and then wrap up.
Well, my question is, since you all are in such reputable positions and you've gone so far in your respective fields, I wanted to know if there was any time during your path to where you are now that you were thinking that there was an easier way to do this, or there was an easier option that you could have took, and what did you do to get over that hump to keep pushing forward to where you are now?
So say that again, baby. Was there a time?
Was there a time during your path to your career where you thought you could have did something else with your life, or did something easier, and what made you push over that hump to get to where you are now?
Okay, so did we want to quit? Did we want to leave? Okay, child. Yes, we did. I did. I mean, I did. Even at graduate school, and the frustration was, it's like I'm working so hard, and these people don't seem to understand that, you know, why are they adding all this other mess? I can do the engineering. Engineering I love, but when you put on all that other stuff that's on top of it, and much of what these ladies have said here, it's what you choose to focus on. And now that said, you have to address it, and I'm a very direct person, so in those situations from my job, I actually would sit down. I had a mentor, and I talked to my mentor about what I was experiencing. And she was an advocate for me and helped to move some of these obstacles out of the way, because they were actually intentional obstacles. And you face that, and it saddens me that a lot of women of color will leave the field when those kinds of things happen. But my mentor, she was a white female, and she was livid when I told her the kinds of things that were happening. So for me, I think the thing to do is to stop, acknowledge it. You know, that it is happening, but the answer doesn't have to be for me to leave the field. Let me talk to someone and see if they can assist me in addressing the situation.
I have a different perspective. and it's not, in everything that's said, I agree. But when you were talking, I was trying to remember what were some of the real crises that I faced in my life and my career. Not only was I a single parent, sole support of 2 kids, helping parents who were old and died, dying, and they were born in 1906 and 1909. But I myself had a car accident with my daughter 21 years ago and was critically injured. When they finally operated on me, I died and I was brought back, but lived in the hospital 3 months. When we came out, my medical bills were $2.5 million in the first 6 months.
That'll kill me again.
And I was in a wheelchair, and I had multiple operations, and 2 kids, and no one to help me. So when I looked at crisis, and I don't know, it was a faith, I wasn't even conscious, but I had to support my kids. So in the wheelchair, I got out and started to network and do things and try to get back a life. So I think when we look at our careers and all the challenges, it's not merely a challenge in the workplace. We have families and we have a world to deal with. So what is it? It's like if we try to adopt the Chinese philosophy on crisis, it's made of 2 characters, danger and opportunity. And I submit to you just the fact that you're all here today, no matter what your position, no matter what the trajectory of your life path and your life career, you're just being here indicates that you have the grit, the vision, what it takes to turn those crises, dangers, into opportunities.
No, that's a really good way to look at it. So rather than feeling like it's a challenge, it's going to run you out of the field, we can look at it as an opportunity. I mean, the mind's a powerful thing. Karen, you were going to say something.
Well, I was going to say that in addition to the advocacy that helps you when barriers are put in front of you, I think that for young women in particular, one of the things that causes us to have career-altering decisions is when we become mothers. And I do believe women will leave the STEM field because they don't understand or know the options that are out there.
Right.
So for those who may not, for example, and this applies to men as well, because more and more fathers are responsible for their children as a primary caregiver. And I think even your story mentioned at the age of 8 as an example. And so I would encourage you to know the resources that are within your organization before you need them. Know those things that are there for you so that when you get to those decisions of, oh my goodness, I can't do this job and what it takes and do this thing that maybe a young child requires. If you know those things before you get to that crossroad, I think it can help when you come up with that particular type of a crisis.
That is such a good point. I mean, and I love in the movie where Catherine is talking to her children, and they're saying, Mom, you've been gone for so long. So ladies, I mean, this is something that has been done, has been managed, and I say to women all the time, your kids are going to be fine, okay? Talk to them, love on them. You don't have to be there at the bus stop getting in the way when people trying to drive by in the morning to be a good mother. You do not. So your kids will be just fine. So one more question, and
Well, good morning. My name is Danielle Chavis, and I'm a senior at Western Kentucky.
Good morning.
And my question for you all is, how did you measure your success during your career path, and when did you finally consider yourself a success?
Isn't she so cute? She's holding a little smartphone. These kids don't have no paper nowhere. Okay, so did you hear the questions? All right, ladies, jump in.
Well, first of all, I just want to say that when to answer your question, when do you consider yourself a success? Probably every step of the way, even for me coming out of high school and getting into engineering school and graduating I was the first African-American female to graduate in an electrical engineering program at my school. And then, so just different hurdles in your lives and achievements in your life. But just keep striving for things because, you can be successful. I thought it was success when I got the phone call from the White House asking me to be in this job. I mean, but it was one of those phone calls, and my team, I love it when I think about it, when I was just at home running my business and happy when I got this call from the White House saying the president wanted to nominate me for this job. But of course, at the time, I thought it was one of my sorority sisters pulling this stuff. But it was,
they can be so mean.
Yeah, they could be so mean. But you know, so it just determines. But the success for me at this point is to be in the last 96 days of this administration, an administration which I think is to work for the president, who I think is the most amazing president we've ever had in this country.
Wow, awesome. Other ladies, yes, he is. And Lord, I was praying we didn't get into politics, and we won't. Okay, so, but we with that.
I feel I struggled. I didn't have a sense of individual success until the last few years, because I was so busy trying to survive and becoming more and more on my path. I call it my spiritual destiny, but I just felt compelled to do things. So the activity might have been successful, but I never took the time to reflect and to appreciate. And when a year and a half ago, when Tyrone called me and said, you know, Ronnie, I'm sorry we haven't nominated you before, but you have a lifetime. We want to honor you. And I said, I wouldn't say the word I said, I want you to think I'm a lady, but I said, oh dear, lifetime achievement, is my life over? You know, and so I think that, you know, as I'm in my second retirement, semi-retirement now, and I'm busier than ever, and I'm so excited about the things that all of you are doing, and I just feel compelled. You know, what is success? Is it personal, or is it how am I fulfilling the spiritual destiny? Yeah. Am I helping others?
Yes.
Am I living my destiny? And so, you know, enjoy your success. And I guess I have to follow my own advice. For years, I've been telling groups to have a reflection journal, no more than 3 minutes a night, like you're brushing your teeth. But I never took the time. Embrace yourself. Embrace every success.
Yes.
But know that it's only part of your, one other thing, and this is research, anthropology. I was trained as an anthropologist, and one of the best things was being a participant observer. Get yourself where you're a participant observer, fully in the moment, but get on the balcony and see yourself in how you are related to where you are and related to your life trajectory. And you're always a success, because God is not finished with you.
And I think that's a good one. The definition of success, I think, it evolves for us. So what was meant to be what we called success when we were graduating from college and starting a job, it really does evolve. Okay.
Yeah, and I couldn't agree more with the point about seeing success, small successes along the way, right? I mean, it was huge for me to get a scholarship to go to school, huge for me to get into school. I did get a D in one of my classes the first semester, but then I used my resources. I learned that you could retake a class and they would replace the grade. That was a success. I got an A the next time. And I had a similar moment when I was able to get my job at NASA Langley when I was a co-op. When they called and we talked for about 20 minutes and they offered me the job at the end of the call, I just about fell over. So there's little successes along the way that totally build. And about when you consider yourself a personal success, I still don't really consider myself an individual success, because in engineering, a lot of the work that we do is with teams of people. So I consider myself successful at building teams, at working with teams, and having huge milestone moments like the launch of my spacecraft together as a team.
And that's very characteristic of women, I mean, not that men haven't felt that way, but that we look at the team, and so we don't necessarily say, well, I'm successful. Well, Tracy is obviously very successful, but that's very common. And so we're going to let Karen give us a couple of words on that.
So for me, I actually, on the individual success level, I don't really feel that I'm successful. I'm enjoying where I am, and there's more to do. And so for me, at my job, I'm the Senior Executive Service Member Champion for our Women's Employee Resource Group. And so when I got that particular assignment as a collateral responsibility a couple of years ago, I was like ready to get in there and start working. We're going to do this, we're going to do that. And then my 14, 15 level champion, Lee, who's the employee, I don't do the work, she does the work. She says, well, people want to hear about you. And I'm like, why? And she was,
Because you're amazing?
At that moment, there was a realization that I have a
Yes.
responsibility
Absolutely.
to make sure that my story is shared and understood.
Yes.
So that was a moment where I realized, well, it's not necessarily that I'm successful so much as
But you
there's a
are.
responsibility now that comes with this, and that becomes the challenge of the, quote, success.
Absolutely. No, that's beautiful. And I mean, are they just amazing, brilliant, and humble? Seriously, it is such an honor to be on this panel with these ladies. I mean, Ronnie talked to us about connecting with people. Dot told us that you're not isolated, you are unique. And Karen told us, don't get marginalized, don't let yourself become marginalized. And then Tracy talked to us about asking questions, drawing people out. A lot of times we wait too much for other people to make us a part of the conversation rather than taking the initiative and doing it ourselves. And we have the power to do that. And this panel of these amazing women, I think, illustrates that. And so it has been such a wonderful joy to have you all here with us this morning, to have this wonderful panel. I know I am way over time, but thank you for being such a wonderful audience. Enjoy the remainder of the Women of Color and Technology Conference. And can we give these amazing ladies one more round of applause? That's right. Stand with your feet on. They are awesome.
Hey, listen,
Thank you.
Hello, one comment though. Before you guys leave, we have a book called Girls of Energy book. It's focusing on promoting women and girls for STEM. It's a book that one of my bucket lists that I have to complete at department. The beauty of this book is for teachers, and it actually promotes girls in learning STEM as a field, but also understanding the field of energy. And we have books outside, and they're free of charge. So, and it's also an ebook that's available.
Okay. Yay. Well, guess what they just told me? I have time for one more question, and I didn't send you out. I'm sorry. They told me I have time for one more question. Well, I love you. Got a question here? You know I can follow rules. I told you my dad was a drill sergeant. Okay.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Oh, go ahead, baby.
My name is Mabinti Conte. I'm from Morgan State University in Baltimore, Maryland, part of the Nutritional Science department. And I just wanted to ask you, all the ladies, when did you feel that this was the right path for me to take? Like, when did you feel like, okay, I know exactly where I'm going? Or when did you feel, okay, maybe I shouldn't have done this and I should have done something else instead? So when did you feel like that?
Wow, I'll let you. Okay. Anybody feel like that they didn't pick the right, had moments where you felt like it wasn't the right path that you took?
I had a moment where I thought I was about to sabotage my career just out of my horrible personal habit of super procrastination. We have any procrastinators out there? Y'all are my people. Because I was finishing up my master's degree at Georgia Tech, and I had done all of the research. The work was done. I was just having a hard time making myself write the thesis. And I was getting to the point, I was about 2 weeks away from when I was supposed to defend. And my advisor called me. He had computers cameras in the computer lab because there was expensive equipment in there, so he could see when we were in there at 2 in the morning working. And so he saw I was in there, and he called me, and he said, Tracy, you're supposed to defend your thesis in 2 weeks. I don't even have a copy on my desk. If I don't see it by 8 o'clock tomorrow morning, you are not going to graduate on time. And I was like, oh my God, because I had my offer from JPL already. I didn't know if they were going to extend it, and it was a mess. And so I worked and I worked and I worked, and I wasn't getting done. So I closed down the lab. I was like, well, I guess I'll just see what happens if I have to delay. I went out of the lab, got into my car, shut the door, and I sat there for a couple of minutes thinking, you know what? if I don't at least try 150% and this falls through and I don't get my job, I am going to not be able to look at myself in the mirror for the rest of my life. So I went back inside, turned all the lights on, sat back down and worked and worked and worked. And at 8 o'clock, I sent him a draft, which was not pretty, but he said it was enough. And I got to finish it up and then continue working with him over the next few days to tweak it. And then I defended and I left off to go and graduate and get my job. So I came this close to just messing it all up at that point. And it was my own fault, so don't do that. Don't procrastinate ever.
But this is such a good question that she asked. Thank you for that, Tracy, because the statistics show that of women who are entering STEM careers, who are in their 20s today, about 46% of them will be gone by the time they turn 40. That's disturbing. That's a huge human capital crisis in the STEM field. I mean, these are people who have graduated and started the field. But one of the things I think happens a lot of times, women will run into challenges and they think they need to leave, and so they do. But I think they don't understand oftentimes that men run into challenges and sometimes wonder, have I chosen the wrong field? I want to ask the men in the audience, if you've ever questioned whether or not you chose the right field or thought about whether or not you should leave the field, would you raise your hand? Okay.
Yeah, I don't think the questioning about is gender affects life, but I don't think, I think everyone evolves their sense of purpose over time.
Right.
So the career and STEM is a vague term, but
right.
I questioned what I was doing. It generated money when I came out of the hospital as a researcher, but I didn't, and I was good at it. I succeeded in terms of the quality, but I wanted to make change in the community, in the neighborhood.
Right, but see, Ronnie, I think the issue is if you get that experience and you have other factors as a woman of color in a STEM field, then that just adds more to should I be in this field? And again, the exodus that we see happening in the 30s and 40s of women. Let me ask women that same question. How many of you have ever thought about leaving the field? Would you raise your hands? Okay. Well, of course, there are a lot more of us than the men, so I can't say I got it statistically.
No, there seems to be a lot.
A lot, yes. But this is an issue. That's why I wrote my last book, Transforming Your STEM Career Through Leadership and Innovation, because I saw so many amazing women leaving the STEM fields. And they had challenges, they were frustrated, but I'm like, honey, that's just part of the game. So you build your team around you, you fortify yourself, you know you're good, but you don't leave. And we're leaving. We are losing women, and women of color even more, because you're bright, you're talented, you don't have to stay. So go ahead, Karen.
So I have what I call my personal board of directors.
And Amen.
Love it. That's my inner circle.
Amen.
And those people know you. And sometimes when you come to those crossroads, or am I in the right field, or why is this challenge in front of me, I take it my responsibility to do the introspection piece and to have my personal board of directors help me to figure out, well, what part of it is me and what can I do? And then in terms of those things that I don't control, I tell you, it looks huge sometimes, but that's where that perseverance comes in. And leaving the field is such a personal choice. It's definitely a personal choice, but it needs to be an informed choice, because sometimes when you leave something and the bridge is burned, you never want to burn the bridge. When you make mistakes, you want to, acknowledge that I made a mistake, for example, and I'd like to try to get back into, the field. I may be being too tactical here, but I think the decisions that we face that are career impacting, boy, you really need to reflect deeply on that. You need to employ that board of directors. You need to make sure that whatever advocacy you can have in your place of employment to help you through that you use all those tools before you leave the career field or make such a decision.
I agree, and it needs to be a very informed decision. Sweetheart, you had a question?
So I just had a question about the fact that, so I'm in engineering, and freshman year there was a lot of women of color, and just women in general who were there. And now that I'm a junior, there's only about 10 girls in my chemical engineering class out of a class about 80 or 90 students. And so this is what I consider a different type of gender gap, because the women that are still there always become these strong, intelligent leaders who are just up there with the men. And I'm wondering if you guys have any advice as a student leader, how we can keep these wonderful women in the engineering field who decide to leave after freshman year because of one class or something like that. And so I was wondering, through your own experiences, how did you overcome that, so I can hopefully enlighten and keep these women in the field so that we have more women involved.
Wonderful. Well, we're so glad you're a leader in that area, ladies.
My freshman year, I was taking advanced math. I failed my first class. My professor told me, I needed
Calc
to.
too.
I failed my first test. I never failed a class.
I failed
my first
the class,
test.
Doc. The class. Let me tell you, it was on my transcript. Go ahead.
And when I failed, when I failed that test, he told me I should go over to the social sciences with other women, and I didn't belong in engineering school. He literally just outright told me that. But of course, he did not understand that I was this little Southern girl with this amazing family and straight and faith. And he ended up dropping one of the test scores, and I ended up getting a B out of the class. But it was that but you will always have that. But it's all about networking with other women in the class, there weren't many women back then for me, but just persevering, and knowing that you want to just be determined to make it happen.
Absolutely.
And then when you end up being that only girl and the first to come out, in whatever, from a graduating class, that's wonderful too. But you go have that when you get out of college, when you have your first job, your first obstacles. So just keep it moving.
Can I make a suggestion too, as a student leader? And not to advocate any particular tool, but we form what we call lean-in circles. And so I wouldn't undervalue what those can bring to other young ladies. So as you see the grouping getting smaller as the students become more senior, and you said you're involved in student government, I think. Yeah, so why not form circles to help these women come together, and even men are in circles, and help folks come together so that whatever those individual needs might be that causes folks to leave at such a, you've gotten to the junior year, man, that's a hard year. You get to the senior year, you're so close. So could you employ tools like lean-in circles as an example to help people come together and give those folks a sense of community that they might need?
Yeah, and I think, so people do leave for all sorts of reasons, but a lot of the reasons, this never happened to me personally, but I've heard it happen to other people, where just because someone gets a low grade on a test or gets a low grade in one class, people will tell them, you don't belong in this field. I think that is the worst thing a professor or a counselor or anyone could possibly say. I'm not a violent person, but it makes me want to punch them in the face because it really is about perseverance. I mean, I got a D in chemistry the first time around. I got a D in thermodynamics the first time around. Sometimes people just need to see things multiple times. And if people get the message, it doesn't mean they're not smart. It doesn't mean they can't do it. It just means they need to continue working hard and maybe do things a couple of times, and they can still be a fantastic engineer at the end. I think too few people get that message from their professors instead of the message that they should just quit and go do something easier.
And Tracy, don't you find too, I think for me, like I said, I failed calculus too. And the second time I took it, I was going to fail it again, and I dropped it. And I sat down with my counselor. I didn't really understand how to study, how to be successful as an engineer. And when I figured out there's a process to this, and a lot of times when people have difficulties or challenges, they just give up. And yes, people told me I was crazy. In addition to that, I was a young mother. My daughter's 37 years old, so my only child went to college with me because I had her in high school. And so people thought I was crazy. But it doesn't matter if you really will build your, what'd you say, your
lean-in circles?
Personal board of directors. Have the people around you who believe in you, who are going to help you believe in yourself when you do have those moments. Because failure is just a part of the process to get to success. It really is. And so often we give up. And there's absolutely no need to. And again, my dad said, honey, you know you can do this. You're just going to have to quit one of those jobs and work a little harder. My mom was optimistic. She thought I could do anything, even hang the moon. So again, that personal board of directors, but so many people leave. But I so applaud you as a young woman interested in doing what you can to keep other young women in the field. And I think we need to have that at all levels. This young lady here's doing at the college level. We need to be concerned about our sisters in the workplace and the things that they're going through and reaching out to them, because a lot of times we have been the one, I was the first to do this and the first to do that, so it's hard to be vulnerable and let people know that you're going through something, but you've got to let somebody know. Now, this time, I do think that I'm supposed to be wrapping up, right? This time is good. And thank you, guys are so good.
Can I just add, listening to the stories here and knowing some of you out there, you're leaning in, you're mentoring of family and so forth. It's Paula Kerga, from the president of public broadcasting, talks about learning guardians. And I think that we're all learners, we're all guardians of learning throughout life. So we turn to our peers, and we turn to our families, and we turn to our professional community and work together in community and mentor each other.
I'm so glad you said that, Ronnie, because I think it sounds like a lot of us have very strong families, but everyone doesn't. And I don't want people who don't have a strong family, who don't have that strong network, to think that you can't be successful in a STEM career. You can, but you're going to have to be more intentional about who you bring around you, creating that infrastructure of support, because you are going to get tired, you are going to have difficulties, but you still can be successful if you don't have the mom and the dad and siblings that held you up. So with that, I'm going to ask each of these ladies to share some parting wisdom with you, and then we are going to just have a wonderful rest of the day. I'll get to say goodbye twice. Okay, so we will start with Tracy.
Sure, yeah, I already said this earlier, but I have to repeat it again because it's one of my favorite things, which is that, in my opinion, one of the things that's key to being successful, either individually or with a team, is to love learning and to just always really not just do it because you know it's good for your career or do it because it's good for the thing you're working on, but because you've literally learned how to love learning and squeezing every last drop of wisdom out of all of the people around you, because it will always hold you in good stead going forward.
Wonderful. Karen? Yay, that's right, show her some love. This is okay.
For me, I would say that in addition to loving of learning and continuous learning, I would say just practice forgiveness, because things will happen, and in order to move forward from them, we all know you got to practice forgiveness and kind of leave the past in the past and just keep pressing forward. So that's the one thing I would say is forgive those who put the barriers in front of you, work your way through it, and just keep going.
Amen. Amen. Beautiful. Ronnie?
Well, I think we've said so much. I think there's continue to love and to forgive. This is, last week was the end of Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur, in which we celebrate the new year, and we look ahead and ask God to put us into the book of life. And it's a lot of forgiveness, and forgiveness of self, recognizing that we are human and we aspire to something more and higher. And the Ubuntu spirit of leadership is what I sense in the room and with leaders on the stage and with Tyrone Taborn and in the audience. In Ubuntu in Africa, they had the belief that I am because we are. We grew up, I think, therefore I am. But the Ubuntu spirit that went across Africa for hundreds of years and then was embraced by Nelson Mandela and Reverend Tutu, that's the spirit that we have in the room. I am because we are, knowing that together we are, together we can.
Wow, love. Learn, forgive, love. That.
My parting words would be still and understand your purpose in life. And I know a lot of you come to these events and you're searching, you're waiting to hear that one thought and that one message. But my message to you is to understand that for your purpose in life, and once you figure out what that purpose is, and as all the actions you take, they really lead to a true destiny. And it's really because there's a saying that your actions determines your words determines your behavior, habits determine your culture. I mean, your culture becomes your destiny. So it's all about understanding exactly your purpose and feeding into that, and understand there's nothing greater than the purpose of supporting and contributing to others. Because once you support and contribute to others, you'll be amazed how much you will receive your fruits in life. So just keep calm in really listening and believing and receiving whatever that purpose and whatever that message is. Just keep coming into your head. Just be still and listen.
Beautiful, beautiful. So learn, forgive, love, be still, listen. And what I would say is so many amazing women really just don't know how amazing you are. You really are awesome. And I always say, I had a good Baptist upbringing, and so you weren't really supposed to talk about how wonderful you were, but I love the Baptist. I still love the Baptist. But baby, you are amazing. And so often, we are so busy trying to get to the next level and trying to figure out where we'll be next week and addressing issues with our business, with our families, and we don't take time to know just how amazing we are. So the fact that you're even here tells me that you are an amazing, accomplished woman. So realize that, own it, accept it, and celebrate it. Celebrate yourself. And thank you so much for being here this morning. You are amazing. Enjoy the rest of the conference, and let's give these wonderful ladies a round of applause. Thank you.
Public accounting and finance, it's amazing. I love it. Stereotype, schmereotype.